My sister wanted to wear my handmade wedding dress for her own wedding, stole it when I refused, and now that it's ruined, my entire family is saying I should just forgive her because that's what sisters do, but this was the last straw. I, 29F, recently got married to my amazing husband, 31M, in what should have been the perfect day. Instead, it turned into a nightmare because of my sister Lucy, 27F. First, some background. Lucy and I have always had a strained relationship. Growing up, she would frequently borrow my clothes, makeup, and belongings without asking, often returning them damaged if at all. My parents always brushed it off with "that's what sisters do" and told me I needed to share. When I got my first job at 16, Lucy started borrowing money too, which she rarely paid back. Again, my parents minimized it, saying she was still in school and needed help. This pattern continued into adulthood. Lucy would take my things, damage them, and face no consequences. Meanwhile, I was labeled the difficult one for setting boundaries. My parents have always favored Lucy, excusing her behavior while criticizing mine. When she dropped out of college, they supported her financially. When she couldn't hold down a job, they paid her rent. Yet when I worked multiple jobs to put myself through college, they called me obsessed with money for not giving Lucy cash when she asked. Now for the current situation. I'm a skilled seamstress and spent over a year designing and creating my own wedding dress. It was truly a labor of love, a vintage-inspired gown with intricate beadwork and lace details. I poured my heart, soul, and thousands of dollars in materials into this dress. It meant everything to me. 2 months before my wedding, Lucy announced her engagement to her boyfriend of 6 months. I was happy for her despite our issues. Then she asked if she could wear my wedding dress for her own wedding, which she wanted to plan for just 3 weeks after mine. I politely declined, explaining that the dress was personally designed for me and had sentimental value. I offered to help her make or find her own dress instead. Lucy seemed to accept this, and I thought the matter was settled. I was wrong. The night before my wedding, I stayed at my parents' house as per tradition. I had brought my dress, which was safely hung in my old bedroom closet. The morning of my wedding, I woke up early to discover my dress was missing. After a frantic search, my mother nonchalantly mentioned that Lucy had taken it to try on and would bring it back soon. I was furious. Lucy wasn't answering her phone, and my wedding was in hours. When she finally arrived, just 90 minutes before the ceremony, the dress was in terrible condition. There was a large wine stain down the front, the hem was torn, and several beads were missing. Lucy admitted she'd worn it to her bachelorette party the night before to show it off to her friends. I broke down crying. My mother suggested trying to clean it quickly, while my father told me I was overreacting. In the end, I had to wear my backup dress, a simple store-bought gown I'd purchased just in case of emergency. It was nice, but nothing like the dress I'd poured my heart into making. Throughout my wedding day, Lucy kept apologizing dramatically, making a scene and drawing attention to herself. My parents kept pushing me to publicly forgive her so the day wouldn't be ruined. I refused, trying my best to enjoy my wedding despite everything. Afterward, my parents called to say I needed to get over it because Lucy felt terrible and had been crying for days. They suggested I make her a new dress as a gesture of goodwill. When I refused, my entire family turned against me. Aunts, uncles, and cousins have been messaging me saying I'm being selfish and unforgiving. The final straw came yesterday when Lucy posted on social media about how some people can't move past accidents and how hurt she was that I wouldn't accept her apology. She included a photo of my ruined dress, claiming it wasn't that bad and could be fixed. I've blocked her and my parents temporarily, but I'm questioning whether I'm overreacting. Am I wrong for not accepting her apology? Should I just make her a new dress to keep the peace? Update 1. Thank you all for the overwhelming support on my last post. Your comments helped me realize I'm not crazy for being upset, and I've decided to stand my ground. A few days after my post, my husband and I returned from our honeymoon to find my ruined wedding dress had been dropped off at our doorstep in a garbage bag. No note, no message, just the dress stuffed in a bag like trash. This only confirmed to me that Lucy doesn't truly understand the gravity of what she did. After seeing the dress again in the daylight, I realized it's beyond repair. The wine stain had set in completely, there are cigarette burns I hadn't noticed before, and the delicate lace is torn in multiple places. It's clear the dress wasn't just borrowed, it was abused. I decided to take everyone's advice and document everything. I took photos of the dress in its current condition and wrote down a detailed account of what happened. I also gathered texts and social media posts from Lucy that contradicted her it was just an accident story. Then I did something that felt both terrifying and liberating. I stood up for myself. I wrote a lengthy email to my entire family explaining exactly what happened, including photos of the dress before and after. I detailed the pattern of Lucy taking my things without permission throughout our lives and how my parents enabled this behavior. I made it clear that I wasn't interested in revenge, but I would no longer accept being treated this way. The responses were mixed. Some relatives who previously criticized me apologized after seeing the photos. They hadn't realized how bad the damage was or that the dress was handmade. A few cousins reached out privately to share similar experiences with Lucy, which they kept quiet about. My parents, however, doubled down. My mother called, crying of course, saying I had humiliated Lucy by sending those photos. She claimed I had always been jealous of my sister and needed to be the bigger person. My father texted that I was tearing the family apart over just fabric and beads. Lucy herself hasn't contacted me directly, but she's been telling everyone that I've always hated her and am using this situation to turn the family against her. She's also claiming the dress looked like that when she borrowed it, suggesting I'm lying about the damage. The most surprising response came from my grandmother. She's always been fairly neutral in family conflicts, but she called me privately to say she was proud of me for standing up for myself. She revealed that she had given my mother an antique lace veil that was supposed to be passed to me for my wedding, but my mother had given it to Lucy months ago instead. I had no idea this veil even existed. This revelation hit me hard. Not only had Lucy taken my handmade dress, but my mother had given away a family heirloom that was meant for me. It feels like a pattern of erasure that's been happening my whole life. My husband has been incredibly supportive through all of this. He suggested we create new traditions and heirlooms of our own, starting with preserving what's left of my dress in a shadow box as a reminder of the importance of boundaries. For now, I'm keeping minimal contact with my parents and no contact with Lucy. I'm working through my feelings in therapy and focusing on my marriage. Some family members have respected my boundaries, while others continue to pressure me to make amends for the sake of the family. I'm holding firm. This isn't just about a dress anymore, it's about decades of having my boundaries violated and being expected to accept it because that's what sisters do. Well, that's not what I do anymore. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and so much has happened that I'm still processing everything. Shortly after my last post, Lucy announced she was postponing her wedding because she was too stressed from all the family drama. She claimed that my vendetta against her had ruined what should have been the happiest time of her life. Several family members reached out to me asking me to make things right so Lucy could have her special day. I stood my ground and said I had nothing to apologize for. I wished Lucy well with her wedding but maintained that I wouldn't be attending regardless of when it took place. This caused another wave of family drama, with my parents insisting I was being childish and holding grudges. Then something unexpected happened. Lucy's fiancé reached out to me directly, asking to meet for coffee. I was hesitant but agreed, with my husband accompanying me for support. What he revealed during that meeting completely blindsided me. Apparently, Lucy had told her fiancé a completely different story about the dress. She claimed I had offered to let her borrow it, then changed my mind at the last minute out of jealousy. She said the dress was only slightly damaged when she returned it, and I was exaggerating to make her look bad. He had been growing suspicious of her version of events, especially after seeing the family email I sent with photos of the dress. During our conversation, he revealed more concerning behavior. Lucy had been taking money from their joint savings without discussion, had lied about losing her job, she was actually fired for taking company property, and had recently maxed out a credit card he didn't know existed in his name. By the end of our meeting, he was visibly shaken. He thanked us for being honest with him and said he had some serious thinking to do about their relationship. I felt terrible for him but also relieved that someone else was finally seeing the Lucy I've known all my life. 3 days later, Lucy showed up at my doorstep hysterical. Her fiancé had called off the wedding and broken up with her. She accused me of deliberately sabotaging her relationship out of jealousy. When I refused to let her in, she began screaming that I owed her a place to stay since her fiancé had kicked her out of their apartment. I closed the door and called the police when she wouldn't leave. They arrived and escorted her off our property, but not before she smashed one of our front windows with a flower pot. The officers took her to my parents' house, where she's apparently been staying since. The fallout has been intense. My parents are furious, claiming I destroyed Lucy's life by turning her fiancé against her. They demanded I pay for Lucy's portion of the cancelled wedding venue and vendors since it was my fault the wedding was called off. I refused. However, not everyone is against me now. Lucy's ex-fiancé apparently shared what he discovered with his family, who then reached out to mutual friends. More stories of Lucy's concerning behavior have surfaced: borrowed items never returned, money gone missing, lies about her accomplishments and experiences. People are starting to see the pattern. Even my aunt, my mother's sister, called me to apologize. She admitted she'd always noticed Lucy's behavior but had stayed quiet to keep the peace. She said she regretted not standing up for me sooner and offered to help mediate with my parents if I wanted. I'm not sure reconciliation with my parents is possible right now. They've shown clearly where their loyalty lies, and it's not with me. My mother texted yesterday saying I would regret cutting off family when I'm older and that I should apologize to Lucy while I still have the chance to make things right. I've decided to take a complete break from all of it. My husband and I are focusing on our new life together, and I've started individual therapy to work through the family dynamics that have affected me for so long. I've also joined a local sewing guild and am channeling my emotions into creating new pieces, not wedding dresses, but things just for me, on my terms. While part of me is sad about the family fractures, another part feels an immense sense of relief. For the first time, I'm not responsible for managing Lucy's emotions or making sacrifices to keep the peace. It's painful but also freeing. Update 3. It's been 3 months since my last update, and there have been some significant developments that I wanted to share. First, the legal situation. After the window breaking incident, I filed for a restraining order against Lucy. The hearing was last month, and despite my parents' and Lucy's protests that I was overreacting, the judge granted a 1-year order based on the police report, witness statements, and a documented history of harassment. Lucy isn't allowed within 100 yards of our home or my workplace. The restraining order seemed to be a wake-up call for Lucy, though not in the way I'd hoped. Rather than reflecting on her behavior, she became even more determined to paint herself as the victim. She created a GoFundMe claiming she was homeless due to family betrayal and needed money for a new start. Some relatives and friends contributed before the truth came out, that she was comfortably living in our parents' guest room, not homeless at all. When the fundraiser was reported and taken down, Lucy had to refund the money. This apparently caused a rift even with our parents, who were embarrassed by the public deception. According to my aunt, they had a major argument where my father finally told Lucy she needed to get a job and stop blaming everyone else for her problems. This conflict with my parents seems to have been a turning point. 2 weeks ago, I received an email from my mother that surprised me. It wasn't exactly an apology, but it acknowledged that they had perhaps been too lenient with Lucy over the years and that she was starting to see patterns they had previously ignored. My mother asked if we could meet for lunch to talk. I was hesitant but agreed to meet in a public place. The conversation was awkward and emotional. My mother admitted that Lucy had recently stolen her credit card and charged several $1,000s before they caught her. She also confessed that multiple family heirlooms had gone missing from their house, likely sold by Lucy for cash. When I asked why they had always favored Lucy and excused her behavior, my mother became defensive initially but eventually shared something I never knew. Apparently, Lucy had serious health issues as a toddler that required multiple surgeries. The experience traumatized my parents, and they developed a pattern of overprotecting and indulging her that never stopped, even when she was healthy. While this context helps me understand their behavior, it doesn't excuse it. I told my mother I needed time to process everything and wasn't ready for regular contact yet. She seemed disappointed but respected my decision. My father hasn't reached out directly, but my mother mentioned he's working through things in his own way. According to my aunt, he's been more confrontational with Lucy lately, setting boundaries that have never existed before. As for Lucy herself, I've heard through family that she's struggling with the new limitations from our parents and the restraining order. She was briefly employed at a retail store but was fired after 2 weeks for unknown reasons. She's been telling people I'm out to get her, that our parents have abandoned her by asking her to contribute to household expenses. On my end, life has significantly improved without the constant drama. My husband and I have settled into a peaceful routine in our home. I've continued with therapy, which has been tremendously helpful in processing the years of family dynamics and developing healthier boundaries. I've also channeled my creative energy into starting a small online business selling handmade accessories. It's been therapeutic to create beautiful things again after the wedding dress disaster. I've even had a few commissioned pieces that have helped me regain confidence in my skills. The most healing experience, though, has been connecting with other people who understand. My husband's family has been wonderfully supportive, treating me with the respect and consideration I rarely receive from my own family. I've also strengthened friendships that had taken a backseat during years of managing family drama. I'm still processing my feelings about potentially reconciling with my parents. I appreciate the small steps my mother has taken, but I'm cautious about reopening that door too quickly. As for Lucy, I don't see a path to repairing that relationship unless there's a fundamental change in her behavior and accountability, which seems unlikely right now. For now, I'm focusing on building the life and family I choose, one based on mutual respect, honest communication, and genuine support. It's been a painful journey, but I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. Update 4, Final. It's been a full year since the wedding dress incident, and I wanted to provide one final update as I feel this chapter of my life is finally closing. The biggest news is that Lucy was arrested 3 months ago for credit card fraud and identity theft. Apparently, she had been opening credit cards in our parents' names for quite some time. The final straw came when she attempted to take out a loan using my father's identity. The bank flagged it as suspicious, and my parents finally decided to press charges when they discovered the extent of her actions. Lucy is currently awaiting trial but has been released on bail to a court-mandated rehabilitation program that addresses both her behavior and underlying issues. According to my mother, Lucy has been diagnosed with several conditions that help explain, though not excuse, some of her behavior patterns. She's required to attend therapy sessions and is under strict monitoring. My relationship with my parents has slowly begun to heal, though it will never be what it once was. We've had several difficult but necessary conversations about the years of favoritism and enabling. They've acknowledged their role in creating the situation and have apologized for dismissing my feelings and boundaries for so long. My father, who was always the more stubborn of the two, finally sat down with me about 6 months ago and offered a genuine apology. He admitted that he had failed me as a father by always expecting me to be the strong one who would forgive and accommodate Lucy's behavior. He brought with him a small jewelry box that contained my grandmother's earrings, another family heirloom that was supposed to be mine but had been given to Lucy. He had found them at a local pawn shop and purchased them back. While this gesture was meaningful, what matters more is the consistent change in their behavior. They've respected my boundaries, stopped pressuring me to reconcile with Lucy, and have been making efforts to connect with me on my terms. We now have monthly dinners together, just the three of us, where we're slowly rebuilding trust. I've maintained the restraining order against Lucy and have no contact with her. My parents have finally stopped pushing for reconciliation and understand that some bridges can't be rebuilt. They see Lucy separately from me and have committed to keeping our relationships separate. The extended family dynamics have shifted as well. After Lucy's arrest, many family members who had pressured me to forgive her went quiet. Some reached out to apologize for their role in enabling her behavior over the years. Others simply drifted away, uncomfortable with the reality of the situation. On a happier note, my husband and I are expecting our first child in the spring. Becoming parents ourselves has brought up many feelings about my own upbringing and has strengthened my resolve to create a healthier family environment than the one I experienced. My parents are cautiously excited about becoming grandparents, and we're working together to establish healthy boundaries from the start. My small accessory business has grown significantly over the past year. What started as a way to heal has become a fulfilling creative outlet and a modest source of income. I've even designed pieces for a few local boutiques and have been featured in a regional magazine. As for the wedding dress, I finally found closure. After keeping the ruined dress in its garbage bag for months, unable to look at it but unwilling to throw it away, I decided to transform it. With the help of fellow artisans from my sewing guild, I salvaged what fabric and beadwork I could and created a beautiful christening gown for my future child. The remaining scraps were incorporated into a memory quilt that includes fabric from other meaningful events in my life. This process of taking something broken and creating something new from it feels symbolic of my journey over the past year. What happened was painful and unfair, but I've been able to grow from it and build something beautiful in its place. I still have moments of sadness about what happened and the family dynamics that allowed it. I probably always will. But those moments no longer overwhelm me or define my life. I've learned that while I can't control others' actions, I can control my response and the boundaries I set. If there's anything I've learned through all of this, it's that family isn't just about blood relations, it's about respect, support, and mutual care. Sometimes the healthiest thing we can do is step back from toxic family dynamics and create our own definition of family with people who truly value us. Thank you to everyone who has followed my story and offered support along the way. Your validation and encouragement helped me stand firm when I was wavering and reminded me that I deserved better than what I had accepted for so long. I'm closing this chapter now, looking forward to the future with hope and the knowledge that I am finally free to live life on my own terms.